YouTube crew, what is going on? And welcome to Rebirth U, where I'm going to teach you how to dominate Rebirth lobbies through comprehensive tip videos, gameplay breakdowns, and live commentaries. Now today we're going to be discussing the best warm-up that you can do before dropping into a game of Rebirth. What can we do to be better prepared before we drop in? If you find today's video helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Comment hashtag Rebirth U down in the comments below. My goal for today is to see 10 comments with hashtag Rebirth U in it, so comment down below and let's get into it. As we kick this off here, if you are looking to get better at Rebirth, make sure you are subscribed to the notification bell turned on so that you do not miss any episodes of Rebirth U. I'm doing videos every single day helping people get better at Rebirth. Now, the format for today's video, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about why warming up is so important, kind of my thought process throughout my warm-up while we're rolling this 18 kill win that I had. This was actually my first game on of the day post warm-up, so I want to show this for a specific reason, kind of a little bit about the importance of warming up. Now, after we do that, we will ultimately talk about what my warm-up is. I'll go into the specific ways that you can set it up so that you can start doing this and implementing this as well. The first thing that I need you to understand is that nobody is above warming up. I mean, this is something that pro players still do before they drop in, whether it's Verdansk or Rebirth. It only takes about 15 minutes or so, so I don't care if you're a 0.5 KD or a 4.5 KD, you should spend a little bit of time warming up. And my whole thought process behind it is, if you drop in those first two games, you're feeling a little bit cold. Ultimately, you get off to a little bit of a frustrating start. You're in the blender a little bit. Kind of sets a tone for the rest of the night. It's hard to get out of that. Whereas if you spend a little bit of time warming up, all of a sudden you drop in, you're feeling really good. Your movement feels good. You're hitting shots, and you get off to a good start. That sets a totally different tone for the whole night, and it's a good one. So we want to take a few minutes to warm up and ultimately kind of start off on the right foot. So let's talk about my mindset and the things that I focus on during my warm-up, because there are a lot of different things. And I actually play my warm-ups pretty hard. I sweat during my warm-ups, even though we're playing against bots, because I want to get that real game feel to it. I want to get that repetition in. So on our top level, we have our aim. We want to make sure that we are being precise with that right stick or mouse, making sure that we are hitting shots and being consistent, making those little micro adjustments that we need to make. The second is our movement. It's so important to practice movement here, making sure our slide cancels are clean, strafing while shooting, jumping while shooting, practicing our drop shots, practicing our bunny hops and that bunny hop timing, doing these different movements that you're going to be doing in Rebirth to ultimately make sure that it happens smoothly when you drop in. And those are the two major things. There's a lot of minor things as well that I work on during my warm-up, and I'm going to tell you exactly what class to run, how to set up your game. So some of this will make sense once I explain that to you, but things like awareness, using the mini-map to then find people and then anticipating them, centering on enemies. And then even below those, we're talking about things like pre-firing, hip-firing, re-challenging enemies. There's so many different things that we can work on in the warm-up that will allow us to be prepared to ultimately drop into Rebirth. So now let's get into exactly how to set up the bots, and ultimately we'll drop in a little bit. Oh, baby, that's a good way to start the day. So now let's talk about the best way to set up your warm-up. And the best way to do it is Modern Warfare multiplayer custom game, essentially doing bots. If you don't have Modern Warfare multiplayer, go ahead and drop into Plunder. Make sure you have no teammates, drop Storage Town, and essentially warm up that way, playing that as multiplayer. But if you do have Modern Warfare multiplayer, let's go ahead and jump into game settings, bot setup, map choice, class setup, and there's going to be one thing actually once you're in the game that you can change to get better aim. Now, game setup. Map, kind of one of two things. Either Atlas Superstore, which Atlas Superstore is a good mix of kind of close range engagements as well as some long range. There's a long alleyway in Superstore that you can shoot down to practice a little bit more long range. But lately, I've been going with Speedball. Feels really good. A lot of fast pace, a lot of quick engagements, a lot of close quarters, which is essentially what Rebirth is. So I've been using Speedball lately to kind of get warmed up. Now, bot setup. For Speedball, I do 5. I do them on regular or hardened. And if you're at Atlas Superstore, basically go the max, which is 11, and you're going to be doing regular or hardened as well. We want them to shoot back a little bit. We want them to have a little bit of movement, so we don't want to recruit. If you want to go veteran, feel free to go veteran. Those people drop shot, those AI, those bots drop shot. So ultimately up to you, but I generally go regular or hardened. Now, let's talk game settings. For our game rules, I already have mine set up for my custom ones, so we're going to walk through these. First of all, time limit, unlimited. Obviously, don't want to run out of time. Score limit. This one kind of varies a little bit. If you are an advanced player looking to just get warmed up before dropping in, go ahead and put it on 50 points, get a quick warm-up in, and then go ahead and drop into Rebirth. If you are a beginner or somewhere in the middle, go 75 to 100. This is going to allow two things. It's going to allow you to get warmed up. It's also going to allow you to get a little bit of practice in. get a little bit of repetition for your shots, for your movement. Whereas an advanced player may not need that as much. They just got to get warm. So I'm going to go 75 points here. Match start time 5 seconds. And basically that just skips the whole flying in scene and whatnot. You get into it quicker. Advanced, no changes. Player, max health. I found 150 to be a good balance point. 200 gets to be you find yourself shooting a lot. So we want to play a little bit quicker. I put it at 150. Feels like a good balance of the TTK is not too quick, but ultimately it's not too long. And health regen fast. So basically once somebody takes a little bit of damage, that health regens allows you to stay alive longer. You don't want to be dying a ton and spending half the time trying to load in. Next up, we got kill cam. Make sure this is disabled. Allows your bots to spawn in quicker. And this is one that I talk about and that I've been doing to basically help with my awareness. The minimap is such a crucial part of Rebirth with your UAVs, with your mini UAV pings that you get when you kill somebody. So turn your radar always on and put it on normal sweep. This is basically sweeping like a UAV. This is going to allow you to get used to using your minimap, but not staring at it, especially on something like Speedball where it's super quick. So you're going to peek that minimap to see where people are, but then you have to ultimately find them. You have to anticipate them. You got to use kind of your centering to your advantage. So that's kind of how I like to work on that awareness. And that's something that I talked about a little bit earlier in this video, you know, how we use the minimap to then find people. So I keep it on always on normal sweep. Last up, spawn ammo mags max. You don't want to be running out of ammo. It's just a minor thing that makes a huge difference. It's super annoying to have to run out of ammo. And it's occasionally, I don't know why it's not on here now. Maybe it's just because of the people. I have no idea. But occasionally there's a thing that says kill streaks. Make sure you turn that off. You don't want to be having to deal with like kill streaks popping up on your screen. And it's tempting to use them sometimes, but that's not the point of this warm up. Last thing we want to do, make sure you create a custom mode. So you're just going to want to name this, you know, Warmup 1 or Warmup 2. I already have one, so I'm going to name this Warmup 2. Go ahead and save it. This way, when you go into your mode in the future, all you have to do is go to My Modes, click Warmup, and basically everything is already done for you. Now, we have bots. We got our map. We got our mode. Last thing, let's talk classes. Again, you want your classes to be somewhat similar to what you're running. So I guess we'll use this as an example. You know, if you are a sniper, then you should probably be sniping. That's one where you probably should go Atlas Superstore over Speedball. If you want to get work with your AR, I generally go with a normal M4 build and kind of use that as my standard AR. It's viable right now in Rebirth. Obviously, we can't use Cold War guns here, so we want to be able to use something that's somewhat similar, somewhat easy to use. So I use the M4, pretty standard build. And then in terms of going Speedball, those are both for Atlas Superstore. You're not going to want to use an AR on Speedball. Now, in terms of Speedball, you want to be running Overkill for your classes to get used to switching guns. Get used to that feel of having to hit the Y button, you know, maybe even YYing a little bit. But ultimately, for Speedball, I'm going to run double SMG. And I'm just running normal Modern Warfare MP5 builds and the Modern Warfare MP7, a little bit of hip fire, a little bit of ADS, ultimately getting that repetition in. So let's go ahead and drop in. I'll meet you at Speedball. Now, once you are in here, there's one setting that you can change that will ultimately, in my opinion, help you with that repetition to get better aim. This is more for my beginner and my intermediate players. My advanced players, you can do this as well, but it's not as much necessary for you. It's to go into your options, go into your controller, and turn your ADS sensitivity for low zoom way up. You know, 1.3 or so, you know, maybe 1.2. But I want you, when you're aimed down sight, to have to be super precise with that right stick. Now, ultimately, when you are... once you drop in, make sure you change it back. But this is going to force you to be super precise and make micro adjustments this way. And this is for people who tend to overcompensate left, right, horizontal, whatever it may be. So you'll just, you know, get your shots in here. Obviously, you need to be super precise with it. Don't worry about your deaths a ton. I'm going to go ahead and put mine back down. It's been a little bit of time since I did that. But again, my beginner players, my intermediate players, make sure... you know, you try that out, see how you like it. But ultimately, we're just going to go ahead and roll around here. You know, don't pop dead. You can pop dead if you want. But we're just getting shots in here, working on our movement here. These players aren't great, but ultimately, we're just focusing on getting repetition in. So I hope you found today's video helpful. This was episode 1, technically, of Rebirth U, but I did set up a ton of playlists for you if you want to go watch previous content as well. But I hope you found today's video helpful. Let's get better today, and I will see you tomorrow.